Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first episode in the series that I'm calling The Creative Adventure. The idea of this series is to try and create like a fun MMO-style adventure map in creative mode that one day my son can play on. Admittedly, he's not even 2 years old yet, so we've got a bit of time. Now, as you can see, I'm playing on Java Edition here. I was, up until last night, intending to do this on Bedrock, purely for the cross-play sort of aspect of it, so he could play on Xbox and so could I. And I was just messing around on Bedrock Edition last night, and I found quite a game-breaking bug for me. Now, one of the first things I planned on doing was coming to a large mushroom biome and terraforming it, but it took me quite a while on the seed I'd been given to find a decent-sized mushroom biome. This one is 4 million blocks away from the spawn point, so I found it on chunk base and I teleported over here, and once everything had loaded in, I'd noticed that I couldn't actually walk properly. The game was like proper lagging, and I could only, strangely, walk up and down on the Z axis. I couldn't walk on the Y axis unless I spam jump, and then I can move like half a block. Also, I was exploring the surrounding area. The mushroom biome is just over there, and it turns out there's large areas where the chunks just have failed to load in completely. Now I googled it, and apparently Bedrock Edition has an issue where I think if you go over like 500,000 blocks away from spawn point, the game struggles to load in, and well, just struggles to perform in general, really. No idea why that is, but I don't seem to get this issue with Java Edition, so it looks like we are going to be swapping over to that. One other small little detail is that in Bedrock Edition, mushroom biomes have this sort of dirty brown tint to the water, and Java Edition, they don't have this, which is good because it just saves me a little job in having to get rid of it later at some point. So, without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. So, create new world. World name. Let's just put Aegis MMO. We're going to stick it on creative for now, although we will eventually change it to adventure. Allow commands on. That's going to be the most important thing ever in this map. World. I'm going to stick it on large biomes. I just prefer the generation of the large biomes. I feel like the world feels a bit better. So we're going to turn the structures off. I don't actually want any of them. We don't need them. We're going to be in creative mode. We can build what we want. And then lastly, the only thing I'm going to look at is the game rules. I'm not going to go through, well, I am going to go through this entire list, but I'm not going to show you which ones I'm turning on and off because there's probably not much point. Actually, I've just noticed that this final game rule, the spawn chunk radius, is set to 2. This was always set to 10 until version 1.20.5, I think, where they've reduced it down to 2. I'm going to be changing it back to 10. Realistically, I'm probably not going to need all of these chunks, but I just think 2 is quite small, so I'm going to bump it back up to 10, and then I can always move it down a little bit if I need to in the future. So yeah, I think that's everything. Let's go ahead and create the world. Okay, so before I even do anything on this tree, I'm going to go ahead and give myself a compass. If I could spell it right. Now, because I've not set my spawn point yet, this is going to point to the world spawn point, because I want to find the center spawn chunk. So to help me do that, I'm going to enable chunk borders by pressing F3 and G at the same time. There we go, we've enabled the chunk borders. And I'm going to follow the compass and try and find, oh, I think we put spawn pretty close to it. Right, so this block I'm stood on right now is the spawn point for the world, which means this chunk that I'm in now is the spawn chunk. So because I've set spawn chunk radius to 10 blocks, this one will be the center block, and then it's going to go out by a further 9 blocks in each direction. And these spawn chunks are always going to be loaded into the game's memory. So if I was to plant some crops on the ground there, and then teleport 1,000,000 blocks away, and then plant some more crops, and then teleport another 1,000,000 blocks away, these crops here would carry on growing even though I'm nowhere near them, whereas the ones a million blocks in that direction wouldn't, because they're not loaded in, whereas these chunks always are. And because they're always loaded in, I want to try and reduce as much lag as possible, for now at least. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm literally just going to be deleting out all of the blocks around us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this as the spawn chunk. So I'm going to do slash set block, tilde, 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 and then gold block. So this is our spawn chunk. Now what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to spawn in a command block. So what you can do is if you go to your options and then controls, there's an operator items tab which you want to turn on. I don't think this exists in Bedrock Edition. I could be wrong, but it's there in Java anyway. And what this does is that when you open your inventory, you get a new tab down here where you could spawn in command blocks, structure blocks, void barrier blocks, the debug stick, all the different light levels, and some hidden paintings, which even I didn't know existed until the other day. We're going to go ahead and grab a repeating command block. And then I'm just going to go ahead and stick it in next to it. Now, they do have a direction on it, so you can see these arrows are pointing this way. Doesn't matter for the sake of this, although it's just something to bear in mind in future. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick a command in, which will essentially clear out everything around me. So it's a fill command, and it's going to be going from 5 blocks diagonally behind me to 5 blocks diagonally in front of me, and it's going to go from the bottom of the map to 2 blocks below me, and it's going to be replacing everything with air. We've had to stick in an execute at zappy 180 sort of command at the start, otherwise it would try and run it from the command block, but we don't want it to run from the command block, we want it to run from me. So execute at zappy, and then we're going to run the command, fill everything with air, basically. So I'm going to change it to always active, and it's going to stay on repeat. And then when I click done, we can now see that all of the blocks beneath me are getting deleted out. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to delete out all of the chunks in the spawn chunk region. Okay, so after a little bit of flying around, we've now successfully excavated the entire spawn chunk region. I did an extra couple of chunks just around the edges because on the Minecraft wiki there's an article on spawn chunks, and some of the further out chunks aren't fully loaded in, but some things still can happen on them. So I'm essentially just copying that design, really. The only thing left is, like, you've got, especially over here, you can see, because I've cut into the ocean, a water block, or water is spilling over one block into the spawn chunk. So I am just going to go around and line this area now just with a block, just to seal off all the water and lava spilling in. Okay, so as you can see, I've finally plastered up all of the walls, so we've got no more leaks coming in. You can just about make out the top of a jungle tree over there, but other than that, this is going to be it now for the spawn chunks. The only thing left to do now is to put a floor in. For some reason, when you drop below Y61, the skybox just turns black. So I'm going to stick a floor in at level 61, just mimicking that graphic from the Minecraft wiki again. And as you can see, this is what the finished product now looks like. In the center, we've got our spawn chunk, and then all of these green chunks surrounding it will be constantly loaded in at all times. Then we've got this purple barrier going all the way around. Now, certain game mechanics stop working, so if you were to plant any crops in here, the crops would not grow. However, things like command blocks and redstone would continue to work. We've then got this blue layer, and the wiki states that further game mechanics stop working, so things like redstone and command blocks stop working in these chunks. However, I'm not entirely sure what does continue working. Must be something. And then finally, we've just got this this grey layer. Nothing is active in these chunks. These are essentially dead chunks. So yeah, anything in the green really is going to be what I'm using. Although saying that, I'm probably not going to use probably even 1/10 of this. I probably only need a couple of chunks, because remember we have got all of the height of the chunk, so from -64 all the way up to the top, which I could just build layer upon layer. But yeah, now I've done this, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to be playing with command blocks at the minute. It will be something that I do come to do in future, but I just wanted to just prepare the stage for when I'm ready to do that. I want to quickly give Chunkbase a little shout out here. I've been using their seed map, and it's an absolute lifesaver if you want to find basically anything on your Minecraft world. So I've gone ahead and I've put my seed in, I've put the version that I'm on, and obviously I'm looking at the overworld. And what I'm trying to find is I'm trying to find a mushroom biome. Now, these pink little splodges are the mushroom biomes, so I've been having a look around, and I found one that I like the look of, and it's this one here. You can see it's surrounded by deep ocean, which is what I'm after. I'm not massively keen on the warmer ones, so the lukewarm oceans, the warm oceans, because they tend to have coral reefs which are lit up by sea pickles, and for some reason I just don't like it. I just don't like it how the sea is lit up from within itself, if you like. So this has got a cold ocean, or at least a deep ocean, which I don't think should have any sea pickles and stuff lighting it up. And as well, the island seems like a good size, so how many blocks is that? We're looking at just about 1,000 blocks, sort of in height, probably similar, maybe a little bit more in length. So I'm going to go ahead and teleport over here and then start converting it into a normal island. And here we are. So one of the things I like about mushroom biomes is usually, especially because we're on a large biome world, when you look out to into the distance, you can't see any nearby land masses, which I just kind of like, because I don't want people just to sort of stand on the edge and look over and see, you know, another continent or whatever and think, oh, why can't I get over there? I just think it looks better when there's just nothing but water. But yeah, one of the things I want to do is just to clear this all of mushrooms and get rid of the cows, get rid of the big mushrooms, the small mushrooms, and just convert all of this mycelium into grass. Now, it might be a good opportunity just to show you why the spawn chunks are useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick a repeating command block in for now. So I want to quickly just put in a command that's going to replace the mycelium around me with grass. So execute at myself, and then we want to run the command fill tilde 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 tilde. So these tildes are relative position. So what these first three are saying is fill from my position to my position. So we're going to go ahead and quickly update these. So I'm going to do it 15 blocks diagonally behind me, to 15 blocks diagonally in front of me. And then let's say I want to do it from 15 blocks beneath me to my current position. Hopefully that makes sense. Then I want to spawn in grass blocks. I want to replace mycelium. So we'll stick always active, and it repeats. So it's just going to keep spamming this command. So as I move around, it's going to replace all of the mycelium around me with grass. However, because that command block is not in a spawn chunk, or a chunk that is always loaded in, it will eventually get to a point where I will deload the command block and the grass will stop. There we go. As you can see, the command block is no longer loaded in. And as soon as I load it back in, there you go, it started working again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to put that command in a repeating command block back in the spawn chunk. Now, I'm back at the spawn chunks, and I've gone ahead and I've put a couple of command blocks down. So the first one is going to spawn in grass blocks, and it's going to replace the mycelium. These next three are all going to replace the mushroom blocks, so the stems, the brown mushrooms, and the red mushroom blocks, not the small ones. It's going to replace them with air, so essentially it's just going to delete them out. And then this final one is going to kill any entity that is not a player. So it's going to kill everything around me that's an entity, just not me. So I wouldn't advise to use this command normally. It's just because I've not built anything on this map yet that I don't actually care about entities. But as soon as I start building and using things like armor stands or paintings, boats, any mobs I want to spawn in, I would not use this. It's just because I've built nothing yet. But this is essentially going to kill the mushrooms, and then any small mushrooms that drop, the brown and the red mushrooms, the small ones, it's going to delete those out as well. Otherwise, there's just going to be a load of them lying all around the place. So I'm going to go ahead and turn all of these on now. So all of these should be running. Obviously, there's nothing around me that these are going to affect. So I'm going to teleport back to the mushroom biome, and hopefully it'll all start working. Okay, so take 2. Okay, excellent. There we go. So you can see just on the edge of the grass there, we've got those brown mushrooms. Converting the blocks underneath it will cause the mushrooms to drop, and then the kill entity command will then delete those drops out. So all I need to do now is to just fly around the entire island and just convert it, essentially. So this is the area before where we had the command block. Obviously, there's no command block in there at the minute, but just to show you that these command blocks will work literally wherever I am, I will go and do the same length. So there we go. It stopped working there last time. But because the command blocks I have now placed within the spawn chunks, they will always be loaded in. They will always be running. So I won't ever have to, or I won't ever have the problem of them just stopping working when I get to a certain point. I can just fly around this entire island now, just converting it. This is what a mushroom biome looks like when it's been cleansed of its fungal infection. There has been the odd brown mushroom that has somehow managed to escape the command block, so I'll just clean those up where I can. I've also filled in a couple of lava lakes because I don't want those on the starting island at least. I think the only thing I'm going to do now is just fly around sort of the edge of the island and just convert, I think, this level and the sea level, convert the grass into sand, and probably convert the gravel, the gravel, clay, and dirt. Maybe I'm thinking like 7 blocks down to sand as well. Just so it's kind of like a nice little beach going all the way around. Oh, and obviously get rid of any sugarcane as well. As I've been going around and putting a beach in, I've just noticed on this little cliffside there is a teeny tiny little dungeon, which will be getting deleted. So we've had a bit of an accident. Obviously, I was going around just putting the beach in, and I could hear some lava sort of underground around here somewhere, and decided to get rid of it because I could hear it bubbling away, and I thought I don't want players standing on the beach just hearing bubbling lava. But rather than replacing the lava with stone, I replaced all the nearby stone with lava instead. Got it the wrong way round, and that didn't go down too well. So I managed to convert the lava back and get rid of it this time. But it does mean I'm going to have to rebuild this sort of section of beach by hand. But yeah, even though I think I know what I'm doing, even I still get commands wrong. So it's a lesson learned. I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but it's looking a lot better now at least anyway. So I've done the perimeter of the entire island, and I am quite liking how it's turned out actually. I will need to go around again at some point and just sort of touch it up just to make it look a bit more beach-like, like here for example. And I will also have to go around and stick a barrier in to prevent people from leaving the island. I'm sort of debating, do I put a barrier right at the beach's edge so they can't get in the ocean, or do I put one sort of in the ocean, like, I don't know, 20 blocks out or something? I think I'm going to go with this idea, but it does mean I'm going to have to do a bit more work, sort of underseas, just touching it all up and making it look a bit better. But before I do that, I'm going to leave that job for later, because as I said, I am keen to get building, so I'm only going to put the barrier in when I have to. I think I'm going to start planning where all the buildings and stuff are going to go. So I think I've decided that When the players spawn into the spawn chunk, they're going to be spawned in just a little cage, and then they're going to teleport to a quick tutorial. Then at the end of that tutorial, they're going to board a boat, which is going to set sail somewhere. But whilst they're on the boat, it encounters like a storm at sea, and the player gets washed overboard. And then they're going to wake up on the beach here. So here's where they're going to spawn in on this island. Then there's sort of like a natural staircase here, so I'll probably turn that into like a little stairway up to here. And then we've got quite a few like grooves in the terrain around here. So what I'm thinking of doing is there's going to be a river starting from here, and it's going to come around here, all the way around here. I'm going to fill this cave in because I don't want players going down here. So yeah, it's just going to be a river coming all the way around. Going to come around to here. I might have to dig quite a bit out here. Then it's going to sort of link back up with it over there. So essentially we're just going to have like this sort of like island surrounded with, or surrounded by, a little river. And I'm thinking of just having, I don't know, at this point in time I'm thinking having maybe like 5 or 6 just like residential houses and maybe a small market stall. But I don't want there to be too much in this first like little village they encounter. And then going just a little bit north, we've got quite a large sort of flat area here. So I'm thinking either a farm or an orchard or something. I'm going to try and put like a little quest in there if I can. So a little bit further north, we've got what I think looks like quite a nice little natural like quarry type place. So we're going to build like a little miners, I don't want to say guild, like a little miners area. This is where you'll get your pickaxe for the first time. Now we've flown all the way to the northeast corner. I'm thinking of filling this hole in and then having like a slightly bigger village than the one in the other corner over there. Just having like a bank, a tavern, a few more buildings, maybe like a couple of proper shops, not just like little market stalls. Because we're sort of at the other edge. When I was flying over it, when it was just a mushroom biome, I thought it would be quite big, but now I've converted it and I've flown from one end to the other. I'm starting to debate whether it's actually, not big enough. And then over here we've got a giant crater. I do have something in mind for this. Not going to share it just yet. I want to see how it turns out first, because I might not execute it very well. It might be a bit pants, so I might change my mind on what I do with it. But yeah, got an idea for now. And then that's kind of all I've got planned so far. I don't want to plan absolutely everything out to begin with. Partly because I can't think of everything, but ideas come to me like every now and then. I can't just sit there and think of everything. I'll probably start building half of it and then come up with a new idea and think, oh, that's even better, and then go with that instead. But yeah, I have still got plenty of space to build on. So yeah, I'm going to go and get started now. I'm conscious this video is probably getting towards 20-25 minutes long, and I think for now at least, I don't want them to get any longer, unless people want to see longer videos, but I think that's what I'm going to aim for, at least going forwards for the foreseeable. So I'm going to call it here. I'm going to get building. Hopefully next video that I'll actually have some stuff to show off. But yeah, thank you for watching so far, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Thanks.